Hello and welcome to the lecture 13B, C rather, of our comprehensive machine learning, data science and artificial intelligence course, chapter 3. Now, we were doing discussion about how to build graphical user interface. So 13A and 13B, we already have done on same topic. Now 13C. Let us consider a situation like this. I want to build a very simple graphical user interface this way, or what is shown here also, which has one window and one button. Of course, these are buttons like minimize, maximize, and close. They are always there. But one button greet, and when I press that button, some output should be displayed. Where the output will be displayed? There is nowhere space on the graphical user interface, so that output will be displayed below the container, below the cell, Jupyter cell, where the app is running. Here app is already running. That is why this GUI has been populated. So if I click grid, then here you can see that these output greeting message is populated. Okay, fine. If I once again click it, then same message is populated second time below the cell. Fine. Now the question is how this app has come into existence. So let us see its code and try to understand each line. This is the code, and I have put a screenshot of the app for your convenience. Then you can see that first there is a function which is called command in PK terminology, and that command is attached with some button here. Okay, and what happens when you run this cell? Then this code will be executed first. That means the app.main loop will come into existence, and these many lines of code will be executed. That command will not be executed first initially. Let me run that again, and you will see the asterisk mark. So asterisk mark means my app has already come into existence. And if I bring it in your focus, then this is my app. Okay. So what happens when I click that run button? Your GUI of app, this outer window or container, that is created. So that is created by which line? This line, app equals tk.tk. That line has created. Then title of that window was created, simple Python GUI. Here, simple Python GUI. Then this greeting button is created. Greeting button is equal to tk.button. Where to put that button? In my app. That is in my window. Okay. And what should be the message on that button? Text message. Then greet, so that the user knows what that button will do if he presses it, and how that event will be handled, which command or which function handles the event. Then greet handles the event. Where is that greet defined? Greet is defined here. Okay, and once you create any control on tk enter, then next this line is common, the name of the control multiplied by not multiplied by dot pack. So that means pack this control which I have created on my window. Okay, or put it on my window appropriately. Now if I press this button, then what this event will be triggered, and this output will be displayed below the cell. That I have already shown, but once again, and you can see that output is displayed. Now this was a very simple app. Now let us try to create one slightly more complex app. And this time I want to create a calculator. A very simple calculator like this only, where it has only 4 functions: add 2 numbers, subtract 2 numbers, multiply and divide 2 numbers. Again, let me execute first the app and show the functionality. So now the app is in your focus, and you can see the functionality. Which line has generated what? Then this many lines, starting from widget creation to this starting the run loop. In between all these lines, they have created the window of the app, and they have created various buttons and text boxes and etc. Okay. So in my case, I want this first line, app equals tk.tk. That has created the app window. Then it has generated one title, simple calculator. Here on the left top, there is the title. If I prolong my app, then you can see that the title is now visible. Okay. Then entry 1, tk.entry, app. So that means create one entry box where user can enter something. That is this entry box, and put it on my app. Okay. Then pack it. Pack is always required in tk enter. Whether you create entry box or whether you create a button, never forget to pack it. Then second entry box. That is the second entry box, where the user will enter another number, and we will pack it also. Okay. Then third widget, which is actually not just widget, but it is just a kind of text output, that result equals tk.doubleware, and there the result will be generated. So here user enters 2 numbers and presses add button, then sum of those 2 will be generated in this location, where at present 0.0 is there. Okay, because at present nothing is entered, so it shows 0.0. But when some numbers are entered and add or subtract is pressed, then it will show the result of that mathematical operation. Then these 4 lines of code, that generates what? That generates these 4 buttons. Okay, that is add, subtract, multiply, divide. Each button has some text associated with it, and each button has some command associated with it. So text for the add button is add, and the command is add function. So they are these. So when you run this cell, what happens is these many line of code, they come into they are executed first. Your app's UI is generated, and your app is at present waiting for events. This def or various commands, they are not yet executed. So now I write one value, say 12, and another value, say 8, and I write 8 add, sorry. So immediately the result of addition is just displayed below it. Okay, so at that time which event is triggered, this event is add event is triggered, and this function got executed. Okay, then similarly, if I write 112 and next add 8, but this time I press subtract button, so in that case, which event is triggered? The event subtraction. So 12 minus 8, 4 is displayed. Then 12 and 8, same two numbers, or say take different number 5 and 6, and press multiply button. So 30 is created. 5 6 are 30. At that time, this def multiply, this event is triggered. This one. And similarly, if I write maybe upper number is 40 and lower number is 8, and I press divide button, that means I'm dividing 40 by 8. So then 8 5s are 40, so that means the ratio of 40 and 8 should be 5. Okay, so at that time this event is triggered. So depending upon which button is pressed, this event handler comes into picture. Events are triggered, and those events are handled by these commands or these functions. Okay, a very simple app. But more important is that you should be able to understand each line of code. Otherwise, coding is not much important. That is why I am not actually typing this code, because there are two reasons. One is, there are three reasons actually. One is, this is a data science and machine learning and AI course, very comprehensive and vast, ambitious course. So if I teach every line of code by typing it, then duration will be very big, and most people do not have that much time for learning. Still, I am explaining every line of code. So if you pay attention, then you will follow everything. Then second thing is, second reason why I am not typing every line of code here in the programming part is because now it is not required at all. There are AI tools which will generate this code in a fraction of a second. I am just now going to show that. And the third reason is that our course is not just a conventional course, but it is a course which teaches data science with a new methodology, that is using generative AI tools. So therefore, so here for example, this line of code, now there is no need. Now you can just click this Jupyter Nut or the OpenAI or any other free also. I have discussed about this earlier, so you know this. Currently, let me see the settings. So GPT-4 Turbo, the high model, powerful model that is being used, and I have provided my API key here, OpenAI API key. But for that, you have to pay some charge, and credit card is required. If that is not there, then there are some free options also here. For example, I think this Hugging Face or even to one, they provide some free options. And if that is also not possible for you, then in that case you can use Olama, which I showed earlier, that you can install open source model like Meta's Llama 2, and you can use Olama here and use some model like DeepSeek Coder V2 or any other model. Okay, I have the subscription. So fine, otherwise these are various models which are available with Olama, okay, like Llama 2, 13B and so on. Fine. Now I want to use OpenAI GPT-4 Turbo, fine. And I have to save my changes, that means what model you want to use. And then I have to open my chat window, and here it is already open, and I just have to write give Python code for making simple calculator with 4 functionalities. Then inside inverted comma add, another inverted comma subtract, another inverted comma multiply, and another inverted comma divide. And if I press this, then you will see that within a fraction of a second the code will be available. This is the code which is generated. It may not be exactly identical to the code here written, but it will work in the same manner. So I will introduce one cell here and copy pasted that code in that cell. I am closing the previous app which was generated by my code. This is the code given by ChatGPT or any other large language model you can use. You can see that actually it is better code and it saves a lot of labor. For example, this it is nicely commented, then even layout will also be bit better. This is the event loop, okay, and let me run this. As soon as I run it, the app is will come into existence. Okay, here it is not even displaying GUI, but it is displaying below it. Okay, so what you want to do? So I say that I want to do addition. So my choice is one, and then it asks me for one number. So first number maybe two, then I press enter. Then second number maybe three, and I press enter, and it shows the result. Suppose I do not want this kind of output, but I want actual GUI. So let me clear this output. Then I will ask the LLM to modify the code, and build GUI of calculator using pkInder. I am even specifying the library also, so that there is, otherwise it may choose some modern library, and it will give the new code. Okay, I delete this old code, and whatever new code my large language model gives, that I will use. Code is generated. One big advantage of this is that all the explanation which I had to give, that also is fully nicely given. So even a new novice person who does not know programming, if he just knows how to ask the question, then he will get the code as well as what each line of code is doing. Okay, so then this is the what is the code, and if I run it, then a much better GUI. You can see that it is much better compared to my primitive calculator. This is much better calculator. Okay, and I write 21 plus 8 and write press equal to, and 29 is straight. 53 minus, sorry, first I have to 53 minus 2 and press equal to 51. So this calculator is much better, and it did not take even a fraction of second, fraction of minute to generate the code. What will you say about it? So now with these productivity tools available, and remember, no credit card is required for OpenAI and ChatGPT. It is required for, but you can do the same thing from several free tools. In fact, at present there is so much competition between such service providers that you are spoiled for choice. Even without any credit card or paying a single penny, you can get your code. So I would prefer to do this. That better, nice, more well formatted, standard production grade code is created in a fraction of second compared to this kind of primitive code which I had written by hand. Okay, so that is one reason, and the third and the important reason of not teaching coding now is that this way of if we learn this way, then there is a high demand of people with this skill who can take work from various AI models. So I want to make you someone who is expert in data science, good at coding. He should be able to understand each line of code, but also capable of using AI tools. And believe me, there is a huge demand for this kind of person. Okay. Now another is the example of DearPy GUI library. Now this time, okay, I also want to explain one more feature. Suppose I have given only this code. Here I have given some explanation also, but suppose this explanation is not given, and some code you are learning from any website or Python programming book, then you can just copy paste this entire code and write explain each line of the code I pasted, and you will see that it will generate the explanation line by line. Now who will be able to do this much so fast? And still, if you are willing to give time to this, then there is nothing like this. Many people criticize AI tools and they say that no, I want a person who actually codes by typing. Now if you somehow enter into that kind of company, then let me be very blunt, better leave that company and find a company which is more flexible. Okay, because your company which is rigid and wants you to type each and every line of code may not exist in next 5 years or maybe next 3 years. So please find another company. That is one thing. Another thing is that AI, you are saying that AI is bad for learners. It is not bad. It is bad only if you, when it gives code, you just simply copy paste and start executing and then go to next line on the next cell of Jupyter and then next cell. But if you bother to read what it has given after its code. For example, explanation is fine, but even when you just ask the code of calculator, after the code it explains this. And please cultivate a habit of reading this. This explanation is quite nice and it explains things in very clear manner. And still, if you are not clear, paste your code as I have done just now and ask it explain me each and every line, and it will explain each and every line. It is a non-tiring tutor. You can again ask that explain if you don't follow, still explain me in a different manner, or whatever point you did not follow, then write that point here and ask it that please explain me this point. Now, this is a luxury, and I envy the young generation for having this. Okay, now let us use this import near GUI and let us execute this. So a new, this is older calculator, but I think here some error is created. No module name GUI. Okay, so that means I will have to install that. Okay, so pip install GUI. Sorry, caps lock. Dear GUI. So many libraries are there for building GUI. So this selecting dear GUI and successfully installed GUI. Okay, fine. I just put this line as a markdown so that next time it is not executed. Okay, and you can see that pip install, if you use on command line, then you will use it directly. But if you use it on a Jupyter cell, then you have to pre-qualify it with this exclamation symbol. Now if I run this, now no error will be triggered, and a dear GUI calculator is generated. This is a simple calculator. Compared to TK Inter, the user interface is different. But I again put some number, say 23. And then put some another number, say 10, and press this add button, then I get the answer 33 at the bottom. Same at other functions also. I'm not showing all because it is very easy. Okay, I'm not even explaining this because I showed you that explanation is already there. But you should try to think what each line of code is doing. Okay, so I just divide the things for you for your convenience. So first is import library. Then next line is somewhere here. That are a bunch of lines. They are doing what? They are defining commands. Command means the functions which will handle the events which occur. Okay. Then so many commands are there. Then from here, this is create user interface and widgets, and then this is also creating user interface only. Okay, fine. So that is what is the situation. In this case, that event loop is not specifically shown by run or something, but this is when you write start dear GUI, then means here, then start your event loop. Okay, so this is what it is, and if you still find it difficult, then read this explanation. I can paste the more detailed explanation line by line also, but I trust that that would not be required. If it is required, open ChatGPT. Even in your browser, it is free. No, nothing is required. And copy paste this command, this whole code, and just write explain me this code line by line, and you will get the same explanation which I have got here in your browser window. Not a single penny is required. So you have a free tutor at your home. Okay, fine. Now there is an exercise, and that is the end of this chapter. Thanks for your patience. But this initial work is required. Some of you may think that if these things are available, such super powerful tools are available, why this fellow is creating, taking all this trouble of explaining one chapter in 13 or 15 or 20 lectures? The reason is that a tool is only as good as someone who is using it. So if you don't know what Python is capable of, then how will you ask ChatGPT or any other LLM, Llama, that do this for me? Okay, so that's one thing. However, if someone still insists that do everything all this manually, there are people who insist. But then there are people who also insist that I will calculate even 1005 multiplied by 503 with a paper and pen. Now, it is an achievement with paper and pen, but is it required? Now, tool like calculator is available, and at one point it was considered kind of stigma attached with use of calculator. Now there is no stigma attached. Similarly, if there are some rare organizations where there is some stigma attached with AI code assistance, then within just few months there will not be any such stigma attached, and we will accept these tools just like we have accepted a calculator or a ruler as tools for learning. And I told you that there is no need to even just copy paste direct code. There are other methods also where you just start typing and it will automatically complete the rest of the code. I showed you in VS Code. In there are some add-ons like Kodi and QAudio and many other things are there. And here in Jupyter Notebook also I showed you in example that you just write def Fibonacci and colon, and immediately rest of the code is generated which finds Fibonacci numbers in a given range. So if such things are available, then I find it very, it is like saying that I can go from Bombay to Delhi and I insist that I will go from Bombay to Delhi by walking only. Why will you walk? But at the same time, from where you want to go Bombay to Delhi and what tools are available, that you have to know. And my this entire exercise of initial chapters is only to make you familiar of what capabilities and tools and libraries you have available. Thank you, and end of chapter 3 here. Okay.